hello everybody. We're back again for week 2, and I have a special guest with me this week. This was not as planned. However, my original guests have been struck down with fevers and flus, and you know how you say, many of you will say, oh, it's really hard to say no to Tracy. It's even harder when you live with her and when you're married to her. And so my special guest today for What's in a Name, our Midweek Advent series, is my husband, David Henry.
Yep.
So David, we're talking about our own names. We're talking about the names that we use most often for God, the names that we associate most readily with Jesus, and then we're talking about our favorite Christmas song or Christmas carol. So you're off the bench and onto the hot seat today. So why don't you tell us, everyone knows, most people know you. They know you sit at the back pew with the kids. But this is a chance to get to know you a little more.
Good.
So tell us your name and if there's any meaning or story behind your name.
My full name is David Williams Henry. David obviously is a biblical name. I think that was part of my mom's choosing of it, but I'm not sure that's true. She simply seemed to choose the 3 most popular names of their day for myself and my 2 brothers. My older brother is Bill and my younger brother is Tom. So we are Bill, Dave, and Tom Henry. So that works out pretty well. I think it's kind of fun. She just took the 3 most popular names.
And just named you all.
Yes.
That way. And here, I call David, obviously, most of the time, but I think most of the rest of the world outside of Clinton and me and your mom, everyone calls you Dave.
Probably.
But we're just going to stick.
I do answer to both.
We're going to stick with David.
Perfect.
And you said that Williams was your middle name.
Right. Williams is a name that I get, was my father's middle name. It's an older family name. And we also have passed it down to Nathan. So Nathan is Nathan Williams Henry. So it is with an S, so it makes the name flow a little bit better.
If you say so.
Yes.
It does. So tell us a little bit about what name or what image you might associate most readily with God, or what name or what image you might associate most readily with Jesus. We're talking on Sunday mornings, I know you're listening in the back pew, about Isaiah's wonderful counselor, mighty God, everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. But for you personally, Lee talked last week about he sort of defaults to calling God Lord most often, or even to thinking about Jesus as Lord. What is most true for you?
It's easy for me. It's father. In some ways, that's a poignant thing for me. I lost my father 15 years ago, and Father God was one of the ways I was taught to pray. The other one that really sticks with me is one of the first ones you talked about, which is wonderful counselor. And when you think about God as someone who cares for us, cares about us, and wants to be compassionate towards us and is our wonderful counselor. I mean, I love that image. I love that thought.
Awesome.
Thanks.
And then the last question for today is if you have a favorite hymn or Christmas carol, but I know you're quite anxious to also share your favorite Christmas Eve story with everyone first.
Well, my favorite Christmas Eve story is I was very young. I was probably 5. And my parents used to take us to the late candlelight service. And I was so excited for Christmas that I was making myself ill, frantically, excitedly sick. And almost as soon as we entered into the narthex of the church, I was
Before the service
Before the service even started, I had vomited in the narthex of the church and was left laying on a bench back there as the service went on. So that was a pretty amazing experience.
A pretty poignant memory.
Yes.
Did you go to the service?
No, I laid on a bench in the back.
The whole time?
Yes.
And everyone else just went to the
service?
service?
And had to get past me and that smell.
Well, now as a parent, you probably have a slightly different perspective.
Yes, and I hope
On how
never.
you would
I hope never to have to
Yeah.
come across it.
I think our worst so far was when one of our kids got an ear infection, quite literally during the
During
5
service. That
p.m.
was
Christmas
Parker.
service about 5 years ago.
Yeah, and he was delirious.
So that
He
was fun
so
to watch.
sick. Yeah.
That was fun.
Nice to know the doctor's inn is open on Christmas
Yeah.
Eve.
Handy tip
Nice
for
to
all
know.
of you. So your favorite Christmas carol?
Which I've now already forgotten the name of because I know it is Gloria in Excelsis Deo, which is not it. It is
Angels from the Realms of Glory.
Angels from
Don't.
the Realms of Glory. I won't sing because she would stop me. It reminds me of Christmas, and it always has. I remember it in the Episcopal Church that I grew up in. It just sounds like Christmas. And part of the magic of Christmas for me was magic words. And singing Gloria in Excelsis Deo was like speaking God's language. And you got to sing God's language. And that was amazing to me. And you could belt it out as loud as you wanted. No one could hear you over the other 300 people. And that was a good one. I mean, speaking God's language they were even words I didn't understand, but it felt special to sing them.
Right. You knew it was somehow like this holy language that we were being given access.
That's right, and that made it special. Yeah.
Great. Well, I think we have a recording of it that we're going to play for you. So be careful if you're close to David in church and we're singing Angels from the Realms of Glory, because apparently he's going to
belt it out
in this God language. But as you listen, I hope you'll be able to reflect on too how the Holy One came among us, and even though we cannot always speak God's language, that God came down in the person of Jesus to be able to communicate with us in our language. So thank you for stepping up.
You're welcome.
This week, and we will both look forward to seeing you in church on Sunday.